everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Between Two Ewers. We are joined this week with Becky Minele, also known as Hawthorne Ceramics on Instagram. Hi, Becky. How are you? Where are you coming at us from right now?
I am coming at you from a teeny tiny town in Missouri, 6 miles south of the Iowa border.
Oh, wow. So it's probably really cold by you right now.
We made it up to 5, I think, today.
Yeah.
Tonight's supposed to be like minus 15 though.
Yeah, somewhere this morning I saw on the news was negative 39. Yeah, that happened to me when I was in boot camp. I went to Navy boot camp at Great Lakes, and I went November 17th. And here's what I figured out, well, later in life. I went to boot camp on November 17th, and I was there for 8 weeks. I missed Thanksgiving, Christmas, my birthday, and New Year's. I was in boot camp for all four of the best things in one possible year.
Wow, yeah, you were.
That was terrible. But yeah, so we had one night, it was like negative 35. And we had to go, you got to go to dinner. You got to go eat.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll pass. Yeah. But the guy came in, he said, put on everything in your locker. Like every piece of clothing we issued to you, put them all on. And they
Yeah.
all marched down there like frozen robots. But
So are you not somewhere that gets that cold?
I am still. I'm in upstate New
Okay.
York, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
it
It
was
gets
really cold.
cold up there too.
Yeah, I think we had a feels like was -5 today,
Okay.
which always cracks me up. If it feels like -5, it's -5.
Right, yeah. Like, let's just
Yeah,
call it what it is.
yeah, yeah. Spade is spade.
Totally.
So, have you always lived up there, or is that?
No. So I grew up moving around. As a kid, my parents ended up. My dad is from a small town in Missouri, and so we did end up um, kind of landing in Missouri, and like that was where my sister and I finished going to school. And then I stuck around the Midwest. I went to college over in Kansas, and then. So after I graduated, I was like, I'm gonna move out west because that's what you do, right? And I moved out to northern Idaho, and I
Oh,
was out in
beautiful
northern
area.
Idaho. Huh?
Beautiful area, right?
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lived in both Moscow, so it's still in the Panhandle, but it's like kind of right where Idaho starts to widen out.
Uh-huh.
And it's also in this region called the Palouse. So super agriculture, a lot of like garbanzo beans and lentils and wheat and like those types of crops.
The
And
Palouse,
then
like
it like
Paloos, like Appaloosa? Like, how do you say Palouse?
Palouse.
Oh.
But the National Appaloosa Museum is out there. And it butted up where like the really heavily forested part of Idaho was, and like where all the logging took place. And so I lived there and then moved up further north to a small town outside of Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene. Oh, there's a great golf course in Coeur d'Alene, actually.
The club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good.
Um, and then my parents are still in Missouri. My husband's family's from Missouri, and so we ended up back in
Yeah,
Missouri. So
cool.
that's where we
Did
are now.
did you study ceramics in school or?
So I minored in studio art and did all ceramics classes. I got 2 degrees in American history.
Oh, very cool.
So yeah.
I just speaking of American history, we started watching that. What is that new show that's out? Oh gosh, it's called American something. It's on Netflix. It's like brutal.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
like
really bad at keeping up with what's on.
it's a oh gosh darn it. I'll have to text you later what the show is. It's a really good
Okay.
show, but it's like it depicts it so well. It's kind of stressful. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
Like
Some
this
of
woman.
those are, yeah, when they get like really realistic.
Yeah, like this woman trying to get across country with her son back in the late 1800s, and there's Indians everywhere, and
No, thank
yeah,
you.
oh, that's tough. Ugh, tough to watch, but good show. American history, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I had an American history class when I was in school, and I was not the best student back in the day because I was a party animal, and For some reason, I chose a 9 a.m. class. I don't know why. I missed a couple. And I walk in one day, and the professor's standing there leaning against his desk, and he watches me walk by, and he watches me sit down, and I look over at him. I go, "Morning," and he goes, "I admire your optimism." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Dude, you failed 2 classes ago. What are you doing here?" I was like, "Oh,
Wow.
I'm going back." He was a funny guy, obviously.
Sounds like, yeah, someone who had a sense of humor.
Yeah, he used to say, "I get paid whether you pass or not."
I mean,
Yeah,
fair,
yeah. He's like, "Your parents are paying for you to come here, not me."
right?
Um, so you work in the library. You're a librarian.
I am a librarian by day.
What is the name of that profession?
Um,
Isn't there a degree in?
Librarianship.
Isn't there a degree you can get in
Yeah,
librarianism?
usually a master's. You can, there's an MLS, so a Master's of Library Science, or you can
Uh,
do an MLIS, which is a Master's of Library and Information Science.
okay, cool.
But yeah, it usually just gets called like librarianship, and there's public librarianship and public school librarianship and academic librarianship, and so
Very cool.
yeah.
Are you close to that, or you got a long drive, or?
I live about, if all of the traffic is doing what it's supposed to be, and when I say traffic, I mean like it's a 2-lane road, so as long as I don't get stuck behind like a tractor,
Yeah.
it takes me about 25 minutes to get to work.
No, that's not too bad.
So it's not terrible. Um, but on like harvest season is a rough one.
When it's all tractors.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was behind a backhoe today, and it was like 9 cars. I'm like,
Oh,
just kidding.
lucky you. I know,
Just
and they're the ones like if they'll finally like pull over like off to a side when they get a chance. I'm like, thank you so much. You're the best person ever.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I grew up on the North Shore of Long Island, so I'm not a big fan of traffic anymore. Ugh,
Okay.
I spent my whole life sitting in traffic.
I was
Now
I
I live in upstate New York, and it's such a tiny little fun town that if I go downtown and I see 5 cars, I go, "Come on!"
yeah.
Like, where are you people going? Like, and I live 2 miles from where I work, and sometimes, I think everybody gets a little sick of their job sometimes, but I try to remember that it's pretty convenient.
That is nice. There are plenty of days like I wish I didn't have a 25-minute drive to my job.
Yeah, yeah,
um
especially in the season. Yeah,
just because it like if I don't know, like if you forget anything, like it's an ordeal to go home.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I usually end
See,
up just like roughing it.
we have 3 kids, and I put in 3 teenagers now. I got my daughter turned 15 on Monday, so we got
Oh my
13,
goodness.
16. Oh my goodness. So, but I put a pool in, I think 2 years ago, because what's perfect for the kids, and
Yeah.
perfect for me too. But what's great now is when I'm at work and it's like one of those 90-degree days, and I got somebody working for me in the store, I just say, "I'll be back in a half hour," and I just drive home, jump in the pool, change
Living
my
the
clothes,
dream.
go back to work. It's not too bad. I'm not gonna lie. I
So
say
what do
that.
you do?
I'm a golf pro, actually. I've been a golf pro for 20 years.
Okay. Oh, that would make sense and why you know about
The golf
the
course,
Coeur
yeah.
d'Alene. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing golf since I was like 5. My grandmother took me out when I was really little and just made me play, and I love it. And
Wow.
it's just, it's just something I was good at. I don't know. I teach people how to play, and they pay me to teach them how to play.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And it's a fun little course. It's right by my house. It's a really nice golf course, and my friend owns it. So it's kind of chill. He bought it a couple years ago, and we're hoping to just stay there for 20 years until the kids are done and we can retire from there. So if we don't kill each other before then,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
That
Um,
is definitely a thing. You
are
spend
you?
so much time with one person,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a love-hate thing.
right?
Are you going to Nsika this year?
I am.
Ooh,
I'm
very cool.
excited too. Yeah. How about you?
I want to. I still haven't decided. I'm 90% no, but you
Oh, how
know,
come?
because it's so far away.
Okay,
But
fair.
golf for me starts the second week of April, and then I don't make pots at all really in the
Okay.
summer. I just can't. I wish I could. But.
Are you traveling a lot for that?
Yeah, I do play a bunch of tournaments, and but I work 7 days a week. The
Okay.
golf course is just so busy, and I run the place really. My buddy that owns it, he's the grounds crew guy,
Okay.
so he's super busy. So I take care of everything clubhouse related, and he takes care of everything on the course. So we make a pretty good team. But
Yeah.
it's we got named best course in the Rochester, New York area by Golf Magazine. So
Wow.
yeah, it's a good one. So that
Elmo is
means
not going to be known for anything like that.
it made us pretty busy, and
I
it's okay.
bet.
It's okay. But honestly, the more I make pots, the more I resent going to work.
Same.
Like I don't want to be here.
I know.
I,
No, I feel that all the time. I mean, like I like the steady paycheck.
yeah,
I like what I do at work. I just don't like that it gets in the way of like making pots.
what I really want to do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just saw a guy, Josh Kopus, just posted a video the other day about, I don't know he was out somewhere with Billy Ritter, and he had made these giant sculptures, and there was an indoor wood kiln that they were using that had a big train door on it, and I said, man, that would be so fun if I had like 2 pallets worth of clay. You know what I mean?
Right.
And 4 months to just make. I would make some fun stuff.
So fun.
Have you been to like an Aramont or anything yet?
I did an artist inviting artists out in Red Lodge.
Oh yeah,
But so far that's the only one I've done. That's part of like so um I because kids are in classes. So I like I said I work at a university and so kids are in classes 12 months out of the year and so like the librarians aren't on like a 9-month contract or anything like we're 12 months.
yeah.
And so I tend to have to find ones that can be like pretty short.
Gotcha.
Um and usually during the summer. Um but like I keep watching ones that are coming to Arrowmont. And then Penland and Haystack I think do some pretty short ones too that I've looked at.
Yeah, Penland's got a good winter residency one. I actually almost applied for that.
Oh
And I
yeah?
mean, I have a really good studio space, and I have, but it's just what I was getting at was that there's nothing like, I just taught a workshop at Aramont back in October, and there's nothing like it when you can all you have to do is eat and make stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing to think about except making what you want.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah,
get
that
that.
was going out to Red Lodge was a lot of fun for that too. And yeah, it just got up and everyone went to the studio all day and then,
Yeah. Then you go to dinner and do it again tomorrow.
yep,
It's kind of great.
it
You
was
sh-
very fun.
you should apply to teach a workshop at Aramont. They take really good care of their instructors.
Teaching stresses me out.
I'm not gonna lie. I like doing it,
Do
and
you?
I was tired at the end of that week.
What's this? I'm just like, I feel like I'm in my own head all the time about like, you've said too many times, or you've said some other word, like you've said that too many times, and like
Yeah.
while I'm trying to speak, I have to try to like change it up and like, okay, don't say like,
Yeah.
ugh.
Wait, did I just say again? Don't say but I said while
Right.
I'm saying That's too funny. Tom Bartel, do you know Tom's work?
I do.
Makes those really cool baby heads.
Yes.
He was teaching in the studio next to me at the time, and he had said at the end of the week, "Man, that just wore me out." And I said, honestly, I am pretty tired. And it was a 12-hour drive, which I swore I was never going to do again. But I'm teaching a workshop in Wilmington, North Carolina, in April, and it's 12 hours.
Okay.
So I guess
Yeah,
I'm doing it one more time.
this is the thing I like about the Midwest is that like which I found living out in Idaho, that was like, oh, I'm not in the middle anymore. And so drives get way longer. And so like I'll probably end up driving to Salt Lake City. And was like, 'cause it was like, it's just 14 hours.
Yeah.
Um,
What I find on those trips is that if you leave at 5 a.m., by noon, you're halfway there, and you're like, it's only noon.
right.
Yeah,
I
so
know. The day is my oyster.
you're like, might as well keep going. And then you're like, oh my God, why did I keep going?
Yeah, I do usually hit that, like, can I just be there already?
Yeah, that's usually about 8.5 hours is for me. I start to lose my mind, but excuse me. But no, I think you'd love Aramont, even if
In
it's a fun spot.
Tennessee. Tennessee, right?
Gatlinburg, yep,
Okay.
yep. Excuse me.
I've driven by Gatlinburg on my way to Asheville before, but I don't know as I've ever actually been there for any length of time.
Yeah, Gatlinburg is a strange little place.
Is it?
The school is amazing. Gatlinburg is odd. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't go anywhere near it when I get down there.
Is it really like touristy?
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's almost too much. Like I'm like, oh, it's overwhelming to me.
Okay.
And I don't have anxiety, but it gives me anxiety.
What are they going there to see?
It's Dollywood. Dolly Parton grew up like
Oh,
the next town
okay.
over.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay. Say
So
no
you
more.
on your website there, it said you had lived on the East Coast. Where'd you live on the East Coast?
I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love North
Um,
Carolina.
was
That's one of my.
my dad was in radio, and so
Oh,
we
okay.
we moved around with stations for that
Oh, very
when
cool.
I was younger. And
Dad
so,
was a radio personality.
well, I mean, he was on like AM radio, so doing like more of like the news, like talk radio type,
Oh,
like, but not like more of like the news reporting type
yeah,
radio.
that's very neat. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So,
That's
yeah,
something.
it we used to
Good.
love it in North Carolina when he would bring home the company car because it had the call letters on it, and we always wanted to go for a ride
Oh, nice.
in the car with the Monty. Sorry, I've got dogs in the studio with me.
No, that's fine. I have 2 dogs and 2 cats, and I was gonna say sometimes I have to get up and let them in and out, but I think they're all in. But that's the beauty
That's
of this podcast is it's real, man. It's real.
right. They say they are. My dogs are 100% shop dogs. Like they've got their little blankies and their spots where they sit every single time, and
Yeah.
but we had a road grader going by, blading the road today from the snow that we got. So, we need to let the road grader know who's boss.
Hey.
Right?
I put a dog bed over there by my sink, and my dog lays next to it. Like, what are you
Next to
doing?
the dog bed.
Like you are right next to the dog bed, dude, that I put down here for you.
Right.
She's weird. Like she's a Sheltie, like a collie.
Uh-huh.
So she's got a big furry coat, and she's beautiful. She's getting old, but she will go outside, 5 degrees, and just lay in the snow and stay there all day. She didn't want to come in.
That's my two today. Uh I was out splitting some wood early this morning, and they both just like sat in snow piles, just
Yeah,
like hanging out. And it was like -2. And
yeah,
you're just like, eh.
yeah. I'm like this. It feels like abuse. I'm like, would you come inside, please? Don't let the neighbors see you out there. Like, look what
I
they're
know,
doing.
like they're gonna think I don't love you.
I'm trying to remake this lid. My ex-wife brought me this broken lid that
Oh
my
my gosh.
friend made, right? And she said, "Can you throw me a new lid?" I said, "Well, probably not, right? Because it's like a
Yeah.
two-piece lid."
Yeah.
Actually episode 1, Marshall made this. So I looked at it the other day and I said, "Well, I threw this piece,
Uh-huh.
and then I'm doing the bottom piece on a bowl butt."
Oh, that's a good way to do that.
So I'm like, oh yeah, I've only had it for 3 years. I did it.
I feel that same way. Like, I've had a couple family members like, "Can you make me a pot for this?" I'm like, "Yeah, at some point,
Yeah.
maybe in 5 years."
My wife owns a framing business, and she frames and puts glass and does frames art for people and stuff. And
Okay.
when I came home from Aramon, I had bought one of Sam Chumley's. Sam's work. That's Sam.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cool one.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So I bought a poster that he drew of a gorilla. It's like a really cool gorilla.
Ooh.
And I said to her the other day, we were sitting on the couch, and I said, "Hey, could you frame that thing that's been sitting in your drawer downstairs for 3.5 years?" Like, is there any time you're not busy?
Right? Whew.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about clay. So you took some classes in college.
Yep.
Did you just fall right in love with clay, or you minored in clay? You said.
Yeah, so I threw my first pot when I was 6.
Stop.
Um
Really?
so I went to elementary school in rural Kentucky,
Uh huh.
um outside of Louisville,
Yep.
and our school was so small that like we didn't actually have an art teacher. And so they would do these like after school art enrichment programs, and they would like bring in local artists who would just like, teach 6 and 7 year like do
Yeah.
different art things. And I signed up to do one with a local potter, and like she brought in her wheel for us, and we would like she taught us how to throw, and we
Yep.
made all kind like I still my parents still have the little like pinch pot mug that I made.
Yeah.
um and I would have to say like that was when I was like, clay's pretty awesome. And then by the time I got to high school, we were in a bigger school district in Missouri, and so I took all of the ceramics classes that I could that my high school offered, um, and then stuck with it as a minor through college. So
So
it's
mostly high school.
yeah, it's kind of always had my heart though,
Yeah, it'll do that.
right?
I think I threw my first pot in 2009,
Oh wow,
and I went to Alfred. It's funny. I went to Alfred, but I went for theater.
no way!
I was a theater major. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, doing plays was fun, man. Oh my god.
was
It's a
it?
rough,
Oh man,
it's terrifying.
yeah.
But it's a blast. And so I made friends, and that's what was really interesting for me in my journey was, I knew guys like John Gill and Val Cushing because that was my buddy's dad.
Wow.
Yeah, like and when I really realized it, actually I was working in his restaurant, Val Cushing's son's restaurant, Eric Cushing, who's an amazing
Okay.
potter, an amazing painter. He had a restaurant called Cafe Za.
Okay.
And his wife was Japanese. Za means life, I think, in Japanese. Something like
Okay.
that. So I'm standing there taking the girls' order, and every Tuesday, Val and his wife Elsie would sit at the table on the end in the corner and have dinner. So I'm sitting there taking her order, and Val walks behind me, and I look over as he walks by. I go, "Hey, Val." He goes, "Hey, Mike," and he hits me on the shoulder, and he just keeps walking. And the girl, I was taking her order, she goes like, "Was that Val Cushing?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's here every Tuesday." And I had no idea you could be like a superstar as a
Oh
potter.
yeah, I would say was she like starstruck, like pick the jaw up off the floor type?
Yeah, she was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that Val Cushing just walked by." I was like, "It's just Val." Yeah,
Wow. But I mean, like, he's got such a legacy in the ceramics community. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't know. It
yeah,
obviously, like, I was never gonna meet him, but at the same time, I'm like, holy smokes, you knew
yeah,
Val
and,
Cushing?
yeah. And John Gill, same thing. I
That's
called
so
John,
crazy.
so I became friends with them as a theater kid. And then when I
Okay.
started doing pots, I would just go ask him questions. And Val would be like, "Yeah, man, come on, come by the studio." But really? Okay. I'm like,
What?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm just trying to learn. And so I called John Gill a few weeks ago because I wanted to see if he wanted to be on the show because he's getting
Uh-huh.
pretty old. He's getting old. He retired finally, him and his wife. And I said, "Hey, John, it's Mike Griffin." I said, "I don't know if you remember me." And he says, "Yeah, the golfer." I was like,
Wow. Also, that's a pretty sweet thing to be known as, right? Like,
"Yeah, I guess." So I was like, "Yeah, hi, John. How are you, buddy?" So trying to get him to be on the show. He's not my next my next conquer. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I don't know. I forgot. Anyway, so it was fun. I learned there, but I didn't play. So I signed up for. I just signed up for the emerging artist thing for Ceramics Monthly,
okay. This
and
year?
it said like people who have been doing pots for less than 10 years. And I said, well, it's been like 16 years, but I only make pots 6 months a year.
Fair.
So really, it's been 8 years.
There you go.
So I don't know. We'll see what they say. We'll
That's my
see.
kind of math.
Yeah. So you are going to Nsika. Are you just going to hang out? Or you got any plans? Are you in one of the pop ups or anything? Or
I'm in a pop-up. I also, I tried volunteering last year,
uh
and um, I really enjoyed it. And so I've signed up to volunteer again this year. Um, and like I particularly enjoyed being at the merch table.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
like
I think I
just
saw you in Richmond, didn't I?
maybe I don't
Like,
know if it was one that was a like, oh hey.
yeah. The Nsika meet.
Right, that's I would say there were so many that went that way. It was like we should totally meet up, and then it ended up being like, oh, there's that person way over there.
Yeah.
Um, just because it like so busy.
I got a T-shirt made that said "Mugs for Swap," and I put Mike Griffin Ceramics on the back.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But what was funny is people just recognize me. They're like, "Hey, you're Mike Griffin," and I was like, "Yeah," because I would go live all the time and just do
Sure.
instructional stuff,
Yeah.
and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you
My,
put your face out there. I say like I've been very shy about like putting my face or my voice out at all.
well, you know why I originally started doing all the live videos is because I'm in the studio by myself. I like having a space to myself, but I want to talk to people. So
Okay.
it's kind of fun for me.
Yeah, no, fair. But um I don't know. It's I suppose it's kind of that like same thing with teaching that like what if I say something dumb?
You can always delete it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing too. What we're doing right now is recorded, by the way. It's not live, so we're good.
Okay.
So,
Um
so you said you're married. You guys married? You got kids or just dogs?
just dogs. I got some nieces that I really like hanging out with, but that's
Yeah.
one's about to turn. You said you had one who just turned 15. Like my one of my
Yeah.
nieces is about to turn 16.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And then a month later, her sister is turning 14,
Oh boy. And
which
that's your
is,
sister's kids?
huh?
That's your sister's kids?
It's my husband's sister.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, I have a twin sister and a little brother. So far, no kids on my side.
You're a twin. No
I
kidding.
I am a twin. Yeah, fun fact. There's four sets of twins in one generation on my mom's side of the family.
Fun fact.
Right? Yeah.
Really? Now that's got to be. I don't want to use the word abnormal, but that's not really right. That's not.
I don't
That
think
doesn't,
that's very normal, no.
yeah. That doesn't, all right. Good. That doesn't happen very often, right?
I don't think so. Um,
That's very neat.
and we're
Who's
also the only set of girls. The rest are boys.
Who's older?
I am by a whole hour.
Whole hour. Nice. It's a little. You got to call her a whippersnapper now. You don't know nothing, kid.
Right?
You should.
I do
Like,
occasionally
wait till
like to
you're my
say,
age.
like, I get to do this because I'm older.
Yeah. Or like when you get older and something hurts, you go, "Yeah, wait till you get to be my age."
Yeah.
And then an hour later, go, "See, how's it feel?"
I'm trying to deny that any of that happens as I get older. That like, oh, I slept on my shoulder wrong last night. Like that doesn't feel nice.
You know, I, I just had this conversation with my buddy the other day. Being an athlete, I guess you could say, my whole life. Like, I just turned 54, and um, stuff hurts, and I'm honestly not happy about it.
This is right.
I'm like, this is not cool.
I don't like it. I don't like it that like sleeping on my neck wrong will like make it ache down my shoulder.
Yeah, for like 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Also the like the duration of time. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Um I've always been active, but it like usually like I'm used to being like sore for like maybe a day after. This like
Yeah.
2 days nonsense.
Yeah. It kind of does this. It kind of gets worse and worse. I was a ski instructor. I mean, I still am a certified ski instructor, and I went
Wow.
skiing a month ago. Yeah, I got to stay busy in the winter. I went skiing a month ago with my buddy, and it's the first time in my life my knees hurt for like
Oh no.
days. No, no, right? You have to laugh at it, but at the same time, you're like, come on, man.
Right? Like no, it got me.
Yes, yes, I thought I was the one that was never gonna grow old.
I gotta say, so I love winter. I love doing stuff outside in the winter. Idaho is great for that. Um,
Bet.
and but that was like the first time I ever tried skiing. I will say my legs have never been as sore as they were the first time after.
Oh yeah. Skiing will make you feel muscles you didn't know you had.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, especially if you're doing it wrong. Like first, the most people that it's called being in the back seat. People that when they first learn, they don't know that they're supposed to lean down the mountain. So your first instinct is to
Oh.
lean back.
Okay.
So when you're leaning back, you're putting weight on the back of your boots, and then you're supporting yourself with nothing but the front of your thighs.
Okay.
So, and that's when you go, "Oh, my legs are killing me." Huh? They should.
I I I felt like I lucked out. I had a good friend who was from northern British Columbia, and so
Mhm.
she was my like, I'll teach you how to ski. I was like, okay, great. And
Uh-huh.
she was awesome in that like she was very much like, you know, the lean into the hill and would like go down a ways and like make sure when I was doing turns that like I was
Yeah.
doing them right. But it just like, holy smokes, like my quads were not used to being that engaged for that long.
Yeah. I got a buddy that does a thing. He calls it earn your turns. So he
Okay.
he will hike up the mountain and then ski down.
Oh my God.
I said, "You see that thing up there that everyone's sitting on?"
Yeah.
Like, they
That
invented
lift.
like 80 years ago because one guy said this sucks. Yeah,
No,
I mean,
thank you.
no, thank you. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago, I bought a snowboard. I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to snowboard. I was a skateboarder as a kid. Why not? And he was a snowboard instructor out in Jackson Hole, and he's like, Mike, you're an
Okay.
athletic guy. He said, I'll have you snowboarding in an hour. Okay. So I got a snowboard because I got a buddy that owns a ski shop. So I said, give me a snowboard and some boots, and and I did. In about an hour, I was putting turns together. I'm like, oh, this is not so bad. And then I said, oh, I was excited. The next day I went out, and man, did that hurt.
Yeah, I
When you
bet.
crash, when you crash snowboarding,
I
oh
it they look like it just because it like at least when you're skiing, like you can break out and like your feet can go different directions.
yes,
Like
instead of
when you're snowboarding, it just like everything's locked in.
yeah, it's just like this flat. Yeah, that's too funny. Okay, we veered away from clay again.
Sorry.
No, it's my fault. Also, I have um, on your Instagram it says specializing in cordata. You had me researching that,
Oh,
and
all
I
all
researched it.
manner of warm-blooded things.
Okay, I was like, I researched it, and I still don't know what it is. Isn't it
It
like
is
a
the
spineless fish or something? Or
say that again.
is it like a fish with no spine? Or
No, coelacanths though. Those are weird fish that were apparently like prehistoric that they found are still alive. No, chordata
Coelacanths?
is I think it's the phylum. So like if you have the scientific classification for like the kingdom, phylum, class, order,
Okay.
family, genus, species for like the scientific classification, it's the one that I think it's the order, but it's for like basically everything warm-blooded. So birds, mammals, mostly birds and mammals, I guess.
Okay.
Um, I originally, so like I haven't really changed my about me since I started my pottery Instagram account. Um, which would have been back in like 2017 maybe.
Hmm.
Um, and it used to say lover of all things furry, but like furry means something different now. And I'm
It's
not
sad too.
like you do you. That's totally
Yeah.
like if that's total. I
Yeah.
have nothing against it, but like that's not what I mean.
Yeah. Yep.
so
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so anyway, so I wanted to change it because it like during the pandemic I was our university shut down and so I was working from home and I did like what every good millennial does and got really into birds.
Of course. Yep.
And so, right, yeah, as you do.
As you should. Yep.
um and it I've always been an animal lover and I really got into like watching birds and like knowing what birds live in my area and what are native and what are invasive and like when they're around and like how to identify them by their songs and their chirps. And
Oh, cool.
so then it made sense to change it to something that was more accurate.
My next door neighbor is a birder. He's a
Are they?
retired guy, and he came in the other day. He says, "Well, you know, I'm a birder," and I said, "Did you say pervert?" Like I thought he said. And his wife's standing
They're
next to him.
very different.
Well, they both could be through binoculars. If you,
It's true. I mean, fair.
I mean, so I got to remember not to play Trivial Pursuit with you or Scrabble. I think so. Those two
I,
things.
you would think that, but like I've lost Wordle for the last like 5 days in a row. So
I love Wordle.
I do
Have you
too, but it's been kicking my butt.
have you played Septal?
No.
So Septal, Septle,
Okay.
Septal.com has Wordle on it. And
Okay.
it has so it's got the 5 letter word, a 6 letter word, and a 7 letter word.
Oh. Oh
Sept.
my.
Yes. I just made a handle. I saw Justin D'Onofrio make a handle on. He did a quick video this morning, and I'm like,
Oh nice.
maybe for the top of a jar, but I love the way he makes his stuff with just big, giant chunks of colored clay.
I do too, and I really like how he leaves the raw edge.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm a
That's
big fan. I mean, you've seen my work. I'm a big fan of non-refinement, if that makes sense.
it
Like,
does, and I really like that about your work, but I really, really love the flowers that you're doing right now. Like,
oh, thank you. You
um,
know, it's so. Before I talked to you, I had opened a kiln, and you know when you open a kiln and you go, "Why am I doing this?"
yes.
Look, a whole other pile of crap.
All too well.
Yeah, it's like, what is going on? But and then 2 days later, you look back at it and you go, I kind of like it. It's not too bad. But I don't know. But I just did
Yeah.
this one.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, this was like so with Amy Irish on. I did a little slip undercover, but then
Nice.
I did Newman's red clay on the bottom,
Okay.
and not a fan of the way it came out. I think probably because I mix my Newman's red with Sagar clay. My terra sigillata is Sagar, XX
Okay.
Sagar,
Yeah.
which I use the Sagar because it makes my sig more white.
Yes.
So I
I
think
have some XX Sager for the same reason.
exactly. You know what else makes it a little more white? Zercopax.
Yes. I only recently learned that, and I started mixing it into my white slip base that I use so that it's just a little bit more opaque.
Yep, yep. And it took me years to learn that.
So
That's
yeah.
and you're like, oh. Just a scoop of that. Thanks. Somebody could
I
have
know,
told
right?
me.
So do you mix your own clay?
No, no, I buy my
Okay.
clay from Alfred,
Okay.
but I mix my terra sig, and I buy my glazes. I don't really because most of the time I'm an unglazed guy. I use a liner glaze.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
but
I like
thank you
all your
for.
sidges.
Oh,
So do
thank you.
you do Newman red instead of like just the standard red art?
No, so if I'm going to use black terra sigillata, I use
Uh-huh.
red art to make the sig.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to get gray. You
Okay.
can't you can't make black. It just keeps coming out gray. But Newman's red, I have a bucket full, and I
Hmm.
love the way it looks. And then it just nah. But now that I see it, it's not what I expected. See, that's the problem. Your
I
expectations are
right?
right.
Yeah, you gotta like trying to remind myself that I need to sit with it
Yeah,
for a few days before I just like throw it in the shard pile.
yeah. But thank you for liking the flowers. They're kind of fun, and now it's like I almost can't stop doing them now. I did this one with a little collab with a girl the other day.
Oh yeah,
So
no, I'm really digging the little dots that you're doing for like it's not like quite texture, I'm
yeah,
guessing, but it gives it that kind of like visual interest.
yeah, thank you. I kind of got that from Matt Scheiman. Remember Matt?
Yeah.
I actually messaged him and I said, "Hey man, I made a pot that looks just like yours, and I did it because I have respect for you." he said, "You do what you got to do, man. You're good."
Right.
I just wanted to let you know I'm not stealing your idea.
That's like one of my great fears is that like someone's gonna accuse me of copying someone else, and I like, no, I'm not. I promise.
Yeah, if I did, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Like the lady that accosted me over the butts. Would you remember
Oh
that?
yes, I do remember that.
I couldn't believe it.
Also, that's
And
one of those things that like that's a, and I don't mean this rude. Like that's not a unique to you practice. Like you didn't develop that. This has been around for a
well,
while.
well, yeah. I said to her, I said, "Have you heard of the Aztecs?" I think it was 500 years ago. No, I got it actually from here. Here's one of my old ones from Mark Arnold. So I
Oh,
used to make them out
nice.
of plaster, and
Yeah.
this was
What
in 2010.
do you just do bisqueware now?
Yeah, because as
Okay.
you can see, plaster falls apart,
Right.
and plaster makes a mess. I can't do it. I hate it. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, I've been doing the flowers, and what I kind of like is like the terrace sidge and the
Yeah.
flowers. So it's kind of like a little bit of both. And
I like that a lot.
yeah, thanks, man. That's fun, and I love your stuff too. Your depth of surface is amazing. Here, this is a
Oh,
tray I
thanks.
just did. So these,
Oh, nice.
this is like a light blue porcelain slip
Okay.
on. I call these asparagus trays.
Oh, that's a good, yeah.
But we were
I can
talking about
see
the
that.
imperfections of it, right? Like, look at the lip of that, right? It's whoopity woppity whippity whoopity. Who cares,
Yeah.
right? Like, does it still hold asparagus? Then shut up.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me about your surface decoration. So where do you start?
Um,
Because you have a
so
lot of layers,
I I do. There are I call them that I tend to refer to them as being very muchy.
much like
But
a lot like Amy Irish's pots, though.
there's a lot going on. So I start with um water etching because I hate myself.
Okay.
That it trying to find a clay body. I really like working with red clay. I
Mm-hmm.
like it more than brown. I think kind of with the color palette I've developed, like I really like the richness of the red. But finding a smooth red that goes up to like cone 5 or 6 has been a struggle. Um, and like particularly one that is smooth. And then it just like I have to be careful because I work out in a garage and it's
Mm-hmm.
like kind of temperature controlled. Like during the winter, I can keep it at about 50.
Kind of cutting out there. What we say? Oh, oh, we might have lost your connection. We got to sign back in. No
Did
worries.
I come back?
Yep, there you are. You're back.
Okay. So
Okay,
like
good.
during the winter, it's very dry and it's usually right around 50. Sometimes it'll get down to like 45. But then in the summer, it's super humid. And so it can cause problems just like starting out introducing that much water back into the pot. Because I usually try to
Yep.
start working with them when they're like hard, leather hard, because I know I'm going to introduce a fair amount of water between the water etching and all of the layers of slip.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I generally like, I'll kind of place out where I want the etched, um, kind of botanical motif to go. And I'll etch that, and then I usually will cut out a little shape of newsprint because before I peel off the stencil that I use to do the water etching, I put a little texture behind it just so that like to make it extra pop.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I don't know if it'll pick it up, but like if you can see there, like there's a little bit of scratching behind it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And so anyway, so there's I use Tyvek for these, and so like I'll put the Tyvek down, etch, and then put a newsprint circle or whatever shape I'm doing on top. And then I lay
So
out
wait,
my other
Tyvek's brilliant. So you're not waxing for your water etching?
no, I don't like wax at all.
It does make a mess. I gotta try that.
It makes a mess. So they sell it at like you can buy it as rolls, like if you know anyone who's in
The hardware
construction.
store.
Yeah, you can do,
Yeah.
but honestly, like mailers, like the priority mailers from the post office,
Oh yeah.
those
So
are
how do you
Tyvek.
so how do you stick that to the pot though?
So that's why I like doing them when they're kind of hard leather hard because I'll just like spritz it with a little bit of water. I have one of those Mister bottles.
Yep.
Um, it actually, if you can find these anywhere, it's a
Oh,
Delta
yep.
brand. They used to sell them at Dick Blick, and they don't sell them anymore.
Yeah.
This is my favorite one. But so I'll just like mist it a little bit and then
Yep.
I have a couple different red mud tools ribs and I'll like squeegee it down.
Oh, gotcha. See,
And
that's
then it sticks real like they don't move. Um and so then I usually have a couple of other um stencils that I'll put down before I add any color. And then so I'll get those down after I water etch. And then I do so like this portion with like the kind of I was using like antique lace.
yep.
Like I half of my family is like Midwestern farmers. And
You got
so it was like, those
full.
like old doilies or um and so like this layer and then usually some kind of like plant. I'll put down a layer of slip and then squeegee another Tyvek stencil on and then um, wipe away all of the excess. And so it just like I introduce a lot of water back into my pots, which can be a problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Do they
and so
collapse?
yeah, so that'll be like before there's any base color on, that's kind of what goes on.
Do they collapse on you sometimes when they get too wet?
I haven't had one collapse, but I sometimes have to like walk away and let them set for a while because they'll start
Yeah.
to get misshapen or like if I'm holding it, like this, like you can see fingerprints coming like in a
Hmm.
hump somewhere.
You know that
Um,
that's kind of a theme on this show sometimes is to walk away from the
right.
pot. You know, It's really letting it dry is you can't say enough for just letting it dry.
I know, yeah. And but then I found too, like, I can't walk away for too long. Like, there are certain steps where it, like, if I can get, like, basically the first two layers of Tyvek down and then the, like, blocked base colors,
Uh huh.
then I can walk away. But prior to that, um, I have a hard time because it, like, stencils will then try to, like, unstick themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that's
yeah,
interesting.
it's
I
a.
mean, how many times did you mess up a pot before you realized at what time you can walk away? I mean, that's
I'm still messing up pots.
good to know. That's also a theme on this show is that you are going to make bad pots. Like every single person that's been on the show has said you got to hold on through the times when you're going to make bad pots.
Right.
Begin pots.
It's all been helpful as far as like learning kind of where the clay's limit is.
Yep.
Um, and I did finally get like a little thermometer with a humidistat to put out in the garage with me. I was like, that has been wildly helpful.
Yep.
Just for being able to kind of game out like how long I can let them sit out. Cause like in the winter, they'll dry out a lot faster.
Yeah. I,
Um,
I tell people on here that my work changed a lot as soon as I had my own space at my house.
oh yeah, I bet.
Because I mean, I can be like, all right, like these mugs. I threw them this morning, and that's kind of what I'll do. I'll come down, I'll throw 8, 10, 12 mugs, and then I leave them sitting on the table till 5 p.m. when I can mess with them.
Right?
At a community studio, you can't leave your stuff out. And
No.
you go home, you cover it, you come back, and it was covered too well.
Right.
It,
Too well or not well enough. And like either
yes,
way, you're kind of screwed.
yeah. Either way, you're screwed. You can't work on it. So it's like, I used to drive 20 minutes in the snow to get back to the studio. We're all excited to finish these mugs, and Clay was like, nope.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
not today. So one of my first ever back in 2009, actually, I had an old YouTube video of doing water etching. That was my first foray into external decoration, I guess, or surface decoration.
Oh,
Because
really?
yeah, it's fun. I love it, and there was a guy named, oh gosh, he was on Ceramics Monthly, and he did it. He used
Shellac?
shellac. Thank you. Yes.
Mike Stumbras?
No, not Mike Stumbras.
Okay.
Mike Stumbras. He just started following Between Two Ewers. Hi, Mike. And he makes amazing pots. Hi, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff's wicked. Oh gosh, what was his name? Anyway, he was on, but he would use shellac, and then he would draw these really cool letters, and then he would put a black on it, and then go back in and go around each little thing he drew, and then wipe it again. So he kind of traced it all, which was really cool.
That was Mike came to the university where I work and did like a 2-day lecture for the ceramics kids.
Yep.
And I went over like he got a couple of them into trying shellac etching on their
Yep.
pots. Um,
I tell you, I had fun playing with shellac though. That gives you a nice little makes the studio fun.
oh yeah,
You're
right.
like,
It's a really good smell.
yeah, that stuff will get you high as hell. But I've been trying to like mess around with some shellac or some water etching, and my clay is so groggy that no matter what wax I use, I wipe it away. It's
Yeah.
like,
So I started like when I first started trying all of the like slip layering that I'm doing now.
yep,
I'd been using a really toothy red clay. Like I'm sure it had Hawthorne in it because
yep,
it was um yeah, it was quite rough.
uh huh.
And I never had a problem with the Tyvek sticking on that. So I
So I gotta.
suppose the
That's
main thing
wild.
is like you just have to watch how you wipe.
How
It chewed up my sponges, but
the Tyvek did or the clay did?
no, the clay did.
Oh, How do you cut the Tyvek? Do you use a Cricut or anything, or how do you get
I
your
use a
stencils?
Cricut now. I cut out the first several by hand.
Yeah.
Um, but I ended up and was like, this warrants buying a Cricut. And then I will occasionally I've tried cutting it. So there's a big public library system about 2 hours away from where I live.
Yeah.
And I have a library card with them and they have an awesome maker space.
Oh,
And
cool.
so like I've gone down there and used their laser cutter to try to do for different stencils. I have found I don't love the laser cutter on Tyvek because it's just like plasticky enough that it kind of adds like a melted edge almost. And the Cricut, since it's just a blade, leaves it nice and smooth.
So it's good to know you can cut the Tyvek with the. So you're actually putting the positive part on and wiping the. No, you're putting the negative on, wiping the positive.
Yeah. So
Kind of like I got a piece here somewhere. I don't know where it went.
I've got like that's one that I've been using a lot. I don't know if I need to like hold my hand up.
I see it, and that's a piece of Tyvek. No kidding.
It is, yeah. And then like this was one of the very first ones I ever cut, and like you can still see the priority on the back.
Oh, that's too funny.
Um,
That's
so
cool.
because this one I cut out of a mailer,
Gotcha.
and so yeah, like I'll put this down and then wipe away the slip to keep that pattern.
So I busted these out in honor of you today, sir. So
I
I
thought you were putting some floral stencils down.
see watch.
Oh, these
Yeah,
are
a
so
little crazy because I
satisfying.
did Terra Sage instead of slip, and they're still really wet. But I bought a Cricut a couple of months ago. Oops.
Yeah.
On Facebook Marketplace from a lady for like $100.
Are you
I got the
liking it?
make. I got the maker. Yeah, I mean it's the possibilities are freaking endless. But it's nice to have that in the background and then cover that with a glaze, like or put some other fun stuff over that.
Right? Oh, that's a nice motif too.
Yeah, I like this little one. I did it on the tray. I tried to avoid it for the longest time because I didn't want to blur the lines of craft and art, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But I was making my own stencils and making my own stamps, and
Yep.
then I was like, it's just another tool.
It is, and it really like saved my sanity.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like
bet.
trying to cut some of those out with an X-Acto knife, like
What I first started doing with it actually I saw Jen Allen do this. Cut them out of craft foam
oh.
and then put it on a slab and use a
Okay.
roller and roll it into the slab so
Ooh,
it's
I could,
recessed.
yeah.
And that's fun. That I do before I'll just do it on the slab roller and just roll a whole bunch out, and then you got a whole textured piece.
Oh, that is nice.
Ah, that's easier than water etching.
Things to I know, but then I would have to slab build my mugs.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just
And
made
it
another. I made a butt this morning because I was laying in bed thinking about it last night. So I threw one this morning, and I made a really deep, kind of big foot,
wow, yeah.
and like not much rounded part here. Like so, the
Uh-huh.
bottom of the mug won't be too much rounded. So what I want to do is take this with a big deep foot, throw a bottomless cylinder, and put it on there like that.
Okay.
And it'll have a big foot. I don't know. But the fun part about that is like if it doesn't work, what did it cost me? $1? you
Right.
know? I don't know.
Is it hard to get all of the clay out when it's that deep?
No. Mm-mm. Nope, you just gotta wiggle it. Actually, the bisque sucks a little bit of the moisture out.
Sure.
So it kind of makes it easier to pull out. As a matter of fact, we can pull this thing out. Let's see if this thing's ready.
I gotta plug in my phone just a second.
Yep. Come on out of there, you. Yeah, there we go. Cool, I'll show you. Ba-ba-ba. Phone dying?
Just about. I made it at 3%.
Oh, perfect. Well, we're almost done. We're almost at an hour. Yeah, see, so like once this is in there,
Uh-huh.
so I was trying to make this ish,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So if I pull this out,
Oh, okay.
it's kind
Nice.
of done. So it's got its bottom piece. Hopefully that shrinks and fits. It's pretty close, but hey, you get what you get.
A for effort, right? This is what happens when you're trying to like remake stuff for fired pots.
Oh, I love when people say, "Can you make this?" I go, "Nope, nope."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Go ahead.
I appreciate the interest with those types of requests, but at the same time I barely have time to make like what I want to make.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to try to figure out making something I don't want to make. Like I want to
Yeah.
be selfish with my time.
Yeah. And honestly, it's hard enough to make what you want to make.
I right?
Like we
Half
talked
the
about
stuff doesn't
earlier.
turn out anyway.
No. I just got invited to the Flower City Pottery Invitational up in Rochester
Ooh,
for.
that's fun.
It's a good one, yeah. And it was started by Matt Metz, and it was really cool because back when I was a young potter, back in the day, I used to go to that show and be like, "Oh my God, these people are gods." So to be in it is
Now
kind of
you're
like,
one of them.
yes. That's I tell my wife, "Told you."
That's got to be a nice feeling.
It was a big honor to be invited. Not gonna lie,
Yeah.
so pretty excited about that. Sometimes you forget how much you got done. You know, and then until somebody goes, "Well, dude, you've done all this stuff." It's like, "Oh, did I? I forgot."
Right.
But
Occasionally I try to go back and like look at photos of my old pots and be like, "Oh, remember when?" It's like a
yeah,
mixture of like nostalgia and cringe.
yeah, cringe. 80-20 on the cringe, I'd say.
Right.
My mom has like a shelf in her kitchen full of pots, and I said, just throw those all away. I'll give you a whole nother shelf.
I
Nope,
tried to tell my mom the same thing.
you won't do it.
I know. She'd be like, "No, you made that." And it's like, "I appreciate the sentiment, mom, but
Yeah,
like
it's terrible. You're embarrassing me.
right? Like
Okay, when
I
people
don't
come
want
over,
people to know that I made this."
yeah, when people come over, don't tell them. Tell them you got all that in the dumpster.
Right.
Oh man, that's funny. So yeah, so you use a cricket. Do you use? Is that a what's a slip? Do you use a slip?
I do. I have tried using underglazes, and they just like I like the texture that I can get from a slip because it can go on so much thicker.
Yep.
Um, and I had been using because it was just like what I had on hand when I first started trying was just slaked down Laguna B mix.
Oh wow. Uh huh.
I have since transitioned to
Your slip recipe.
it's yeah, it's one that I actually found I'm probably gonna say her last name wrong. Sarah Belleek.
Oh yeah. Uh huh.
Um, so she published her slip recipe in Ceramics Monthly a while back, and it's called Poor Man's Porcelain, and so it's just it's four ingredients and it's 25% of each.
Oh, easy peasy.
And so yeah, right. And so I
Do you
have
put a little?
transitioned to using that because then I know what's in my slip, and it just felt like when things go wrong, like that's one more thing I can troubleshoot.
Do you put a little Darvan or sodium silicate in it, or is it?
I do Darvan.
Okay. Yep.
Um, so I found I have both. I didn't know it was like different deflocculants would work differently with different water sources.
Oh really?
Yeah, but it like so I'm on a well at my house,
All right. Now you got to
and
explain that.
the Darvan does way better for me.
Really?
Yeah, but like if I'm like this the city water seems to both they seem to be more interchangeable.
That's
Um
pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to research
so
that.
I don't know if there's actually anything to that, but it like I have found I like the way the Darvan behaves with the well water at my house.
Well, it's
And
funny.
so
I
I
found
usually
that.
put a few drops of that in, and then I color everything with different mason stains.
Yeah. Me too.
And so, because I hate glazing so much. Like, I just want to put a glaze on and have it work.
You're talking to the Terra Sig guy. You know what I mean?
You know.
Yeah, I glaze the inside, and that's it. You know.
Yep.
And what's great
That's
about it is that pots can touch in the kiln. You can stack them if you want. You know, it's like, yeah. But it's funny. I just taught a workshop on frankarts.com back in November on Terra
uh-huh.
Sigillata. And while talking to Tommy Frank, we were talking about the black Terra Sig and using red art. And he says, well, you know, red art works Darvan 811 works way better on red clay. And I was like, what? I've been using sodium silicate forever. He's like, yeah, Darvan works better on red clay. I don't know why.
Is
So
it maybe like the iron content?
I believe that's why.
Is
Yep.
that, I suppose, if not, I'm not a sciencey person at all, but I'm on a well and we have high iron in the Midwest, like in my part of
Yep.
the Midwest, in all of the soil.
Huh.
Maybe that's partly why Darvan works better.
I don't know. But yeah, I'm not a big. I've been messing with this white and this yellow that I got. I just got this yellow, and this is the yellow over my white Terra Sigillata.
Okay.
It's just kind of super yellow. But, you know, I had this shape, and I'm like, yeah, we'll just do it. Everything turns into a glaze test, you know?
Right. Exactly.
So
I
it's
don't.
like, hate it.
Oh, go ahead.
So I'm not a big fan of it. You know, it's like, I'm trying to find, I don't know what I'm trying to find, but that's not it.
Fair.
You
That's.
know?
I know the feeling.
Yeah. Just keep searching.
And it's one of those, like, I'm sure there's somebody out there who, like, it's the perfect yellow. It's the one they've been searching for.
You know, I had a shelf full of stuff here, and you know how shelf space in a studio is very important, right? And
Right.
my wife wasn't home one day, and I took the recycling garbage can and threw everything out that was on that shelf. She was pretty mad. She's like, "You gotta check with me before you throw things away." I'm like, "It was all
Oh
crap."
no! Wait, were you throwing out like
Pop.
pots that were in use?
Yeah, they were all kind of seconds in my eyes,
Okay.
you know, and but you know, I forget that like you ever like have a sale and you put stuff on a table and the one you hate the most is the first one to sell.
Yes.
And you're like, what is happening right now?
I know. I don't understand it. And it like, do you ever like gaslight yourself that like, is it me? Like, am I like, is this actually good? And like, I'm not seeing it. Like,
Yeah,
what is
yeah.
happening?
Yeah. It's funny. I don't know. Chris Long and I were talking a couple of weeks ago. Chris is the coolest cat. He makes
Yeah.
really cool pots, and the snippet I shared actually was him and I talking like when I'm at the golf course and people say, "Well, what do you do all winter?" And I tell them I'm a potter, and they don't understand. So I show them some pictures, and they go, "Oh, that's actually good."
It's like a nice backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, I think. Yeah. Like, or they're like, oh, wow, that's like, you actually make good stuff. Like, it surprises them. They're like, yeah. I don't know. I just want to
That's
find a way to do this I want to do it for a living, but that's few and far between. But then it'll change how I make stuff, too, you know?
I would say, part of me has that dream. Absolutely. Like, I just want to sit in my garage and make pots all day.
Yep.
But I have wondered, like, how my relationship, because it would have to, like, your relationship with it would change.
Yeah.
If it's like, if it all of a sudden becomes like your livelihood.
Yeah. Like,
And,
I want to sit in the garage and make pots all day. I don't want to have to sit in the garage and make pots all day.
then I think that's a big part of it is like, I don't have to sit out here. I choose to.
Yes.
And it like, I
You
think
know,
it like, it feels like a choice and it feels like a creative outlet and it feels like, like
yeah.
this is my time to like put my thing out in the world but like because I'm choosing to.
Hold on one second. I can hear my dog crying at the door. Hold on.
Oh
She's crying like she thinks I'm talking to somebody. I think she thinks somebody's here. Yeah. Because she hears you. What? Yeah. She's
no,
like
she's being left out.
She's come say hi. Come give me a kiss. No, she's
Oh, what a cute dog.
she's like she looks like she was raised in a dumpster. Come here. She's like so cute. Come say hi. No, come say hi.
Hi.
Come say hi.
Oh my goodness.
Shush. She's an Aussie doodle. Like she's so smart, she's dumb. Hold on. You know, she's like she looks like a dog from you would see like in a 1980s movie.
Yeah.
Like that grew up on the streets of Brooklyn, you know. But her name's
She's
Lady.
very cute.
Thank you. We got
Was
her COVID time because we have an older dog and she's getting old. She fell down the stairs the other day. Ugh,
oh,
poor girl. But now she knows she only did that once. She will not go back up the stairs.
that's good on her.
But we got this one to play with her because she was getting old and tried to keep her young. And I think all we did was piss her off. Like, who said I would like this dog?
Yeah, that my first dog got a number of between like roommates and like just moving around, like had a number of housemates, and she was really good about being tolerant of them, but like that was at best. She was tolerant. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
she would look at me all the time, like she would just like do this like on the floor, and then just kind of like look at me like, why are you doing this to me?
Yeah, when I was in college, we used to hang out and work at this place called Pollywog Holler. It's pretty well known around Alfred. It was like a little hippie commune out in the middle of the woods, and a friend of mine built the place. This guy named Bill Castle, you know. And the main entrance was this trail. It was a quarter of a mile long trail you had to walk through to get to this main lodge. That it was a log cabin that he built. It was just the coolest place. You can look it up online. But you know, when we would have guests there, they would come from all over the world to stay there. And when they would leave, we would all stand on the front porch and we would go, "We love you," and it would echo through the woods, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes we would get guests leave, and he would say, "We tolerated you."
Oh,
Yeah, he was not very shy. He
so
built
you
this.
don't want to leave and get told that.
He built this log cabin with no power tools in the early '70s. Like huge, like it's a 40-foot cabin, these huge trees, and he would build it, you know, put two trees like this and then put the crux piece in the middle and then use that to move another big giant log. I don't know how he did it. Built it by himself too.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
pretty
some
cool.
self-sufficiency.
Yeah, you know, so we were sitting in the lodge one time, you know, probably had a couple glasses of wine, and I'm looking up at, he's got these two skylights. And, you know, he built this cabin in the early '70s. And I look and there's a string hanging with like a little S hook. And I said, "Oh, do those open?" And he goes, "Oh, God, no." He goes, I cut that thing with a chainsaw in the middle of the winter because my wife was driving me crazy. She said
Oh
she
my
wanted some
god.
sunlight. He said she wanted some sunlight, so I got her some sunlight. I said, "Well, what's the string and the hook for?" He goes, "Well, because I did it so poorly that it leaked." He said, "And I didn't want to get on the roof and fix it, so I just hung a plant under the leak." Like he goes, "Now I don't have to water the plants. Don't gotta get on the roof."
That is some of the most amazing problem solving I've ever heard.
I was
That's
like, "I knew
brilliant,
you were a genius." Now I'm totally convinced. But yeah, that
right?
was Bill Castle.
Wow, that's
Genius.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was pretty cool.
genius.
He had these three bells, like so all the way out by the road, which was like a quarter-mile walk, was these three like 50-foot. Hey, buddy.
This is Monty.
Hi, Monty. Oh man, I love dogs. So he had these three 50-foot telephone poles. They were standing up, right, 50 feet, and hanging from the telephone poles in the middle were these three bells that he
Okay.
made. He cast these iron bells, and these ropes hung down, and you would go ding, 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 and that would tell somebody that you were coming into the property. And he put those three telephone poles up there by himself.
Wow.
And I'm standing there looking at him, and I said, "How'd you get the bells up there?" He said, "Brawn." Just one word answer.
I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah, nailed it.
yeah, right? I cannot
Anyway,
imagine.
this has been pretty awesome. We're like at an hour and 15 minutes already. Look at that.
Oops.
Holy moly. So tell us a couple of things before we sign off here, and I got to go get my
Okay.
butt kicked in darts by my buddy. Uh, he beat me with
Oh,
2 darts last time.
man, I will. So, I'm not a pool player, not shuffleboard, but in college, I was like, if anybody ever wanted to play darts, I was like, I'm game. I'm game.
Yeah.
Let's play darts.
Well, that's the thing is I used to be good at it, and then he was beating me so bad. I said you can only use 2 darts, and he still
He
beat me.
still beat you.
Let me
Ooh,
get this.
that's rough.
Yeah, he still beat me. Yep. Come on. Okay. So tell us a couple of things. Tell us where we can buy your work, where you're selling it, any galleries, any websites.
So, I have a website. It has not been updated and likely won't for a while.
It's
So,
a
I'm
Potter
really bad
thing.
about that. Um, I'm going to be at the A Fair Amount of Color pop up at Ensika.
Cool.
So you can find us at I think it's the Town Place Suites, right across from the convention center from 5 to 7 on Thursday. And I'll be there with some really other awesome artists. There's going to be, I think, 5 or 6 of us
Great.
um, selling pots there. So I'll have pots there in person. I am getting ready to ship off a few pots to Charlie Cummings for
Mm-hmm.
their exquisite, is it
Good
exquisite
forms.
forms?
Yeah.
Um, and that's going to go live in April. And then I'm sending them more pots for another show that I think go live in June.
Very cool. I,
Um,
I actually had
that's all
written
I've
down
got for them.
Charlie
What?
Cummings.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they are. Varian does a really good job down there.
Yeah, I really
Yeah.
love that they take the photos of my work for me.
They take nice photos. They're very good at it,
Such
and
nice photos.
they do it well. Episode 3 on this was Mark Errol. Do you know Mark, guy with the beard?
Mm-mm. I know his work. I don't know him.
Yeah, he's cool as hell. Him and his partner Glenn own a gallery in Tifton, Georgia called Plow Gallery, and
Oh,
on
I
the
know
show,
PLO. It's OUGH, right?
yes,
I know
yep,
of the gallery. Yeah.
yeah, it's great. Yeah, I got some pots down there. I'd love to send
Oh,
him some
nice.
new ones. But I said to him, I said, "How does Glenn make my pots look so good?" And he said, "If you knew how simple it was, it would blow your mind." I said, "Well, what is it?" He says, "I'm not telling you."
Oh, trade secret.
It's a trade secret. I don't know what it is, but I, it's just lighting. I think it's the correct lighting. But
I right now my current like the best lighting I found at my house, like the south wall of my house is windows.
mhm,
And so if I time it right and I get it at like either mid-morning or mid-afternoon, but only within like a couple hour window before like the sun gets too high, I
mhm,
can set up my little like
yeah,
um
backdrop.
my backdrop on a table and like tape it to a door and then the light's good.
Yeah, it's like it's the behind the scenes, right?
Right? Like if you only knew.
Yeah, we have to touch on before we finish. Also, we got to touch on that rocker pot you made. That's so good. Where is it? Yeah, that's a beauty.
Thank you. So this one's going to Charlie Cummings.
Yeah, that's a great pot. Did you slab build that?
I did. Yeah.
So I've tried to
Yep.
build that same form in a couple of different ways. Slumping it this way
Uh-huh.
and putting it in a bowl.
So, I have another one in the works right now. Um, I threw out a slab and then like cut a circle out
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
and
see.
and so like you can kind of tell on this. So I added the foot separate and I need to take it off, but this was the like supporting the sides was the
Uh-huh.
thing that seemed to really help. And so I've just been like trying to be militant about like keeping lugs of clay pushed in underneath.
Yeah.
But so I started like this was just a flat circle and I let it stiffen up just a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and then cut the chunk out of it so it would make the size cone that I wanted. And
Mm-hmm.
so and then just joined that like right here
Yep.
and then picked it up and kind of mushed in the sides.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. I did that where I used a slab, so it was in a bowl, and I put the slab in the bowl this way,
Uh-huh.
and then
Oh,
I hand built with coils this way, let
yeah.
it dry, and then went boink and pulled it out. Oh, look at
Yeah. It's been sometimes a fun challenge, sometimes not a fun challenge.
that. That's clay.
Right?
So yeah, so Charlie Cummings, yes, and you were on the Michiana tour, right? How cool was that?
I was on the Michiana tour. It was it was
Some
good.
some good potters.
I'd never done any type of pottery tour before.
Hmm.
Um, it was very cool, and Alec Hoogland, I hope I'm saying that right. Who owns Highland Studio up in South Bend, Indiana, was the stop who hosted me. Like the most gracious of hosts I've ever had, and so it was a fun experience. They definitely were um, like went above and beyond too. So
Yeah, I tell people too that my, two of the things I love about this show, right, is one, potters are just awesome people.
yeah, they
You
are.
know what I mean? They really are just fun people, and there's
Right,
nothing like sitting there and chatting. Like we have something in common before we even start talking.
right.
We have a shared love, which is great.
Yep.
And somebody, Charlie Teft had said, no, Phil Harlem said, Mike, this is really great. This is a great idea. I think this is going to take off. And I said, oh, that's great. I said, but it's kind of selfish because I want to talk to you guys.
Right. This
You
is
know
a
what I
good
mean?
excuse.
This is just fun. So very good. So where else? We got website needs to be updated. Charlie Cummings, Exquisite Forms. I was in that show a couple years ago. That was one of the first shows I was ever in.
Really?
Yeah, yep,
But I've sent stuff for their cup show
yep. The intimate
before.
object.
This is the first time I've done one that was anything other than cups, which is it's been a fun challenge to like try to get outside of just making cylindrical forms.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, your cups have a lot of work. Your cup. Well, I'll ask you after what you sell your cups for. But I talked to somebody about that the other day, and they were like, I got to sell my cup for 115 bucks. I was like, wow, oh my god.
Hmm.
But if you think about how many hours you got in it, if you were getting paid $15 an hour, makes sense.
But I timed myself, and it's been a couple of years since I timed myself, but I timed it like just touching the pot. So not cutting stencils,
Sure, making
not
the
like
sense.
yeah, none of that, like just touching the pot.
Uh huh.
I was at over 3 hours.
Yeah. See, that's amazing. Yeah.
And so and most of that's doing surface decoration. And so
Yeah.
it but at the same time, like I don't want to walk it back because it like I love doing the surface decoration.
Yeah, no, no, no. Who was I talking to the other day? Oh, Tony Young. And I showed him one of the
Hmm.
big troughs that I did, that big floral trough that I just did. I was like, this thing, I would sell this for probably 250. I said, but if I ship it to a gallery, they're going to get half, and it's going
Right.
to cost me $50 to ship it. I'm going to make $70.
Yeah,
So that's why you got to sell something like that for $450,
I
right?
know.
But then you won't sell it. So it's like,
Right.
who knows?
I
Whatever.
it's a sometimes it feels like a no-win.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad I talked to you because earlier today, like I said, after opening that kiln, I was like, oh man, I'm always in a crappy mood when I open the kiln. I don't
I
know why.
usually am too.
Good to know. I'm like, this is what a waste of time. Darn it.
Yep.
But
I have that like
oh,
existential crisis of like, what am I even doing?
yeah, I need another job. How old am I? I'm never gonna make it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, the negative takes over. It's crazy, isn't it?
it really does. Yeah.
Also, okay, so last thing we got to end with is a tip. I tipped you off on it earlier, so I'm glad you had time to think about it. So
Yeah.
the tip is, it could be a life tip, could be a tool tip, or it could be a clay tip that somebody taught you. What you got?
It's so it's a clay tip. Clay
Cool.
tip, I guess, kind of. And I got it from Naomi Clement.
Oh,
And
great.
it
Yep.
is use your own pots, but not the seconds. Like use your good pots for
Oh,
yourself.
yeah. That's,
Um,
that's a great idea.
which honestly I found to be super helpful because it like I'd always just used like my seconds pots and I was like, yeah, this is fine, whatever. But they're seconds for one reason or another. And it using the, I guess, firsts,
Mm-hmm.
I found really informative for like, because they were usually ones that like something hadn't gone wrong or like I had, tried to be extra careful in like the handle refinement type thing. And it was really, they've been really um, helpful for figuring out like how I like to make things, like how I want the handle to fit. Because I've used my good handles, and so like I know to me what a good handle feels like now, not just a seconds handle. Um,
Come on.
oh hi,
That's Naldo. We got a little
Naldo.
one that's 19.8 pounds.
Wow,
Yeah.
he's
He's
very
just,
cute.
that's great advice. And as soon as you said that, I was like, that's so funny you said that because I used one of mine the other day because I wanted to test this new lip
Uh
that I've
huh.
been messing with. And I sat down, drank my morning coffee, and I was like, don't like the lip.
Right, but it
Yeah.
like everything else about it could be like a first quality pot.
Yeah.
I did a similar thing with lips where it like I thought I was making what looked like a really, and I thought I could still think like it looked like a nice lip. But I hadn't tried it for myself.
Yeah.
And this was, I mean, it was a few years ago, but it was very informative for like what I do for lips now because it was same thing. Like I tried it and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, I just did. It was a couple of weeks ago. I sat down and went, this is shit.
Yeah, right.
Glad I
I
didn't
used to
sell
put a
this.
really pronounced ridge in my handles, and it because
Yep.
I thought like aesthetically, I really liked the look of it. Um, and then she had said like use your good pots, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna use one of these, and was like, this is not comfortable at all.
Yeah, that's great advice. Leave it up to Naomi to have some good advice. Yeah.
I know, right?
I have one of her mugs upstairs on my shelf. I had to get one of yours.
Yeah,
We got to do a swap or something. I'll send you a
yeah, we
message.
could totally trade.
That'd be fun. I could trade you a floral one. I got a couple floral ones left. Ooh, that'd
I
be
wouldn't
cool.
say no to that.
All right, you're the best. I appreciate your time. This has been super fun. Look at that. We're
Thank you
at an
so much
hour
for
and a half.
having me.
Yeah, fantastic. This is great. Thank you for your time.
Yep,
And we'll be seeing you again soon, I'm sure. And have fun at Ensika. Tell everyone I said hello if you don't see me there.
I will for sure, but hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah, I know. I want to go.
Yeah,
Eh.
it's a ways.
All right, Becky. Take it easy.
Yep, you too.
Bye.